Hey guys, I've gotten a lot of cool JDM bass tackle recently, so I'm going to be doing a video over it. The first lure I'm going to talk about is one of the most recent lures I've picked up. It is this swim bait. It's about 6 inches long and I did some upgrades on it. I changed out the hooks and the split rings. I changed out the front split ring and I added a swivel. This lure attached a 20-pound fluorocarbon, and I am throwing it on my Jackal 7.4 extra heavy rod in my Shimano Scorpion. It's a 48-pound braid to 20-pound fluorocarbon. It's a really nice action in the water. When you move it, it makes this, I don't know if you can hear that, but it makes this really nice squeaky sound, and I think that'll attract a lot of bass. The second lure here is this really cool finesse jig. It's really small and it has the finesse skirt on it, but I like how it has this big round head because it makes it a lot easier to cast on heavier gear. I throw this on 14-pound fluorocarbon and on my Abu Garcia bass field rod and a Shimano Scorpion MG. One odd thing about this jig is there's actually no weed guard on it. The next lure we have here is this deep diving little flicker bait, I would call it. It's kind of like a cross between a jerk bait and a crankbait. It's pretty small, and I actually found this lure. I found it at Lake Kawaguchi and I think it'll work good. I took off the hooks though because they were a little bit rusty. This lure is actually a lure I bought for fishing at a pond near my house. It is like microscopic. As you can see, that's my finger right next to it. It is so small, and the hook is very small on it too. The pond that I'm using this in is like small and pressured, and it has a lot of little fish, so I figured I'd get a little lure. The next lure we have is this deep diving sinking crankbait. It's kind of an odd color, but it was $1, so I figured I'd get it anyways. And the hooks on here are actually pretty good. I'm actually going to use these hooks on the lure. This lure is another finesse jig. It does have a weed guard on there, but I liked this lure because it has the skirt cut in a way where it's short on the top and it's like really long on the back, but it's not cut like a finesse jig. So I figured I'd include it. And it also has some flex on it, and that would probably do a good job imitating scales. This next lure is the popper I found. It's not the most like expensive popper or anything, but as you can see, there's little holes cut out on the front of it, which would allow water to shoot out the sides when you pop it. As you can see, it has a really nice action. This is another lure I actually found. It's this really nice jerk bait, and I really like the color on it, and it has good hooks and good split rings, so I figured I'd include it. It is a floating jerk bait though, so I would use it for more aggressive fish and not like in the winter or anything, and it's pretty big, so definitely not a winter bait. This next lure is a really cool lipless crankbait. It has a really cool design on it and looks really realistic, and one thing I liked about this, it's really heavy. I can cast this a mile. This lure is a megabass bait. I actually found this and I included it because you can work it like a crankbait and you can also work it like a jerk bait, so it's pretty versatile. This is a cool lure I've bought recently for $1. It's this cool popper. It's really skinny. It's skinnier than my finger and it's not very big either, but I thought this would be a good bait for summertime bass when they're eating topwater but they're kind of finicky. It has a really nice paint job on it. It's yellow, and it also kind of has a purple sheen on it, so it imitates like a bluegill. This lure is a cover jig by Daiwa. I included it because, as you can see, I like the skirt design. It has a lot of these blue glitter particles in it, and I think that will do a really good job in imitating scales on a baitfish. This lure is a really small lipless crankbait. As you can see, there's my finger right next to it. I actually bought this for the same pond I bought this lure. Because there are a lot of really small bass in there and it's really pressured, and the only bass I've ever caught out of that pond is on a really small lipless crankbait, kind of like this one. The final lure I have here is this really cool swim bait I got for $4. Really big tail on it that'll move a lot of water, and it's made out of some high quality plastic. It has a place to put on another treble hook here, but I'm not actually going to put one on because I want this bait to remain weedless. Once a fish eats this swim bait, it'll easily pop out the jig hook on top that is held in by a magnet that's right there, and it'll get hooked. This is a really strong and sharp hook, and with it in like this, once it's in between the slot that there is, it's completely weedless. So I'm going to be fishing this through the grass.